Well, hello and welcome back to the work we're doing on this Gourd Calabash pipe. So the first thing we're going to do is work on the stem, and and I'll also work on the this I'm calling it a bit for lack of a better word, the part that the stem is mortised into here. I believe this is a bit in a military mount. So the basic procedure for cleaning this up is very similar to what you've seen me do a couple of times now. One difference is that because this is so heavily oxidized, I am going to actually soak this for a bit in a solution that will help bring out that oxidation. It will not remove it, it actually will make it worse, but it'll make it easier and to clean it off, and there'll be less danger that after I go through the polishing of this and everything, that the oxidation will very quickly come back. So I will do that, and if you're interested in that process, I am putting together a video on stem cleaning, and this will actually be the stem that I use in that portion of the video. So you'll be able to see that soaking process and how it works. So that's something to either look forward to or check on. If once it publishes, I'll put the link to that in the description here. But for now, I'm just going to clean up the stems, and I'll come back to you when both the stem and the bit are completed. So this has been, we started at 400 grit sandpaper, moved to 600, and then to the 1500 micromesh pad. Wet sanded from 1500 up to 3200 micromesh, and then switched over to dry sanding with the 3600 up to 12,000 micromesh. After that was done, I gave it a liberal coating with mineral oil, let it sit overnight, and now I'm just wiping it off. And as you can see, I'll zoom you in a bit here so you can hopefully pick this up better. We've got a mirror polish finish on this. This stem is as good as new and ready to go back on the pipe. So this was So we're going to begin to work on the gourd of the calabash pipe now. And this is where things are going to sort of become a little bit less certain, because as I've said, I haven't worked on one of these before. I have done a fair amount of searching for information on gourd calabashes, and while there's a lot of information out there on maintaining them and cleaning them and smoking them, there's not a lot out there on restoring them. So we're going to be somewhat flying by the seat of our pants, and we'll see what happens here. So first thing I'm going to do, my philosophy with doing pipe restoration is always do the thing that may prevent you from completing the process first. So this cap, I know I can get a replacement cap for this. So if this doesn't work out okay, that's all right. I'm not going to worry about this. This can be the last thing that we do. However, if the gourd winds up, failing miserably, well, then there's no real point in cleaning the cap. So we'll start off with the gourd. I'm going to leave this plastic bit until last, and I'll just polish that as I'm cleaning the rest of the gourd. I'm going to work on the internals first, because I think that's where the biggest problem lie here. And I've had a closer look since I first showed you this. That is just pretty much dirty. There's no real clumps of anything in there. It just seems to be surface dirt, and that's okay. We can scrub that out. What I'm a little bit more concerned about, though, is that there seems to be a lot of resistance in this airway. If I just put my mouth here and blow, it's hard for me to get air through. So I'm not sure what's going to happen there as we clean this. We'll have to see. It is impossible for me to get anything through here. Pipe cleaner doesn't seem to want to get through. None of the brushes I have are small enough, really. So we're going to start here. We're eventually going to put some alcohol inside of this. We'll see how it comes out here. That might loosen things up. We'll just take this as it comes. For cleaning the internals, I've got a couple of different types of brushes. I've got a couple of just hardware store bottle brushes, and I've got a good old dollar store toothbrush. These are great. I mean, anytime I go to the dollar store and I see these, you can usually get 5 or 10 of them for $1. They really come in handy for pipe cleaning, especially rusticated pipes. You put a little bit of mineral oil on this and scrub it up. These are great tools. So go to your dollar store, find toothbrushes. And of course pipe cleaners, but right now I'm going to actually just go in here dry with the toothbrush and see what happens, because I don't know what I'm dealing with. And I'm not applying a lot of pressure. I just want to see what is loose in here. I want to see how much of this is just sort of hanging out. And you can see the toothbrush is getting kind of dirty. And let's see what we get. Okay, something. You know, that's good. That tells me that there's some loose stuff in there. Okay, while the furnace was running, I turned you off, and I was able to get a pipe cleaner all the way through from back here until I could see it poking out in the bowl. So the airway is open. Tweaked it around a bit to get it through, and actually it came out, even though I scrubbed up and down quite a bit, it's fairly clean. So again, I don't think this has been at all heavily smoked. I poked around a bit more in this gourd chamber here, and I don't see, there's nothing loose. You know, I've scrubbed it with the toothbrush quite a bit, so it's not like there's a bunch of chunky stuff in here. And I do think that some of this textured stuff there is just the gourd. I don't think that's like a buildup or anything. So I'm thinking we're actually in pretty good shape here. This is all the dry stuff that came out. I'm going to just get rid of that. And now we're going to move on to some ethanol. Well, Everclear. This is actually, I've mixed Everclear with water, so it's a 50%, 50-50 mix. I'm a little bit worried, again, having never dealt with the gourd before, I don't want to dehydrate it by using the straight 95%. And remember, I want to be really careful about this cork. I don't want to get alcohol on that because I don't want to delaminate it. I don't want to break down the glue that's holding it in place if I can avoid doing such. So I'm going to just use a dropper and just squirt some alcohol in there. And I'm going to do that. I'm sort of trying to, I don't know how much you can see, but I'm trying to make sure that I drizzle it around the edges here. I'm going to fill it all the way up to, you know, about to that cork ring, not quite. And what I'll do is I will hold that stable for a bit, because I didn't bother to come up with something that I could put it in as a stand. And then I will pour it out through the stem. And I have no idea how this is going to look when I pour it out. You know, it could be a black sludge, it could be a clear solution. We'll find out in a moment. Just going to give it another 30 seconds or so. All right, let's just go ahead and tip that. Oh, see, that's actually not going to work out very well, because in order to tip it out here, I'm going to have to splash it up, and I've already gotten the cork wet somewhat. So let's do this. Let's use the dropper, if I can find it again, to extract some from the top, and that's coming out yellowish, which you would probably expect. Alright, now that probably will give me enough leeway to get this tipping out through the stem. Oh my, well, that's unexpected. No, it just ran down the side. Okay. For a moment there I thought we had a disaster. What I thought was happening was, I thought the alcohol was coming out through the junction between this plastic bit and the gourd, but that was not the case. All right. I hope you're enjoying this. It's learning as we go. If there's anybody out there that's restored a lot of Gourd Calabashes, you're probably yelling right now at me, but we got to start somewhere. Okay, so I clearly got the cork wet, which I didn't want to do, but we'll see what happens. All right, now let's just go back in with this toothbrush and see if we've loosened up anything or. And my plan really is to just do this a few times. So, yeah, toothbrush is dirty. Good. Now we'll get this larger, well, actually let's start off with a smaller bottle brush. And we'll just, I'm not expecting this to go around the edges. I'm just trying to get down into that chamber. Alright, that's not really helping much more than the toothbrush, so we'll go with the larger one. I guess you could say what I'm doing right now would be analogous to reaming a briar pipe. The only difference is I don't know what is supposed to be and what isn't supposed to be here. Alright, let's see if I can use this. Let me just clean this off a bit. See if I can use this smaller bottle brush on the... Oh no, that's very tight. Now we can clean out the bit. And now we'll go to a bristle pipe cleaner. Now, sometimes when you're dealing with a bent pipe, sometimes it helps to just put a little tiny bend in the end of the pipe cleaner. Sometimes it helps. And when you get to a spot that it doesn't seem to want to go through, just try rotating it a bit, and often it will break through. And you just kind of have to keep doing that. Just tweak it a little bit. Yeah, that's about as far as we're going to get this guy in this time. It hasn't quite come through to the bowl, but it's okay. We can follow it up with another. Well, that at least is dirty. Just a little tweak in the end. When you come to a stop, back it up, turn it just a little bit, push it some more. If you're patient, you will eventually get these through even the most severely bent pipe. Severely bent. It sounds like the bend is a mistake. All right. There we go. That's coming out much cleaner. I wonder if I'll have any success trying to come in through this end. Through the... I doubt it. No, that's not going to work at all. I can't get enough pressure to... You probably already knew that, but that's okay. We'll swab out the gourd. You might wonder why I used 50%. The logic was that I didn't want to dehydrate things too much. Alcohol... What happens is the alcohol will replace water, so it'll, the water will be forced out and replaced with the alcohol molecules, but then the alcohol molecules evaporate much more quickly than the water, so you're left with a drier product in the end, and sometimes that can be bad. In the case of something like a gourd, I can imagine that it could be bad, so I just wanted to avoid any potential damage. That's looking pretty good to me. I don't intend to get this, shiny clean. I'm just trying to make sure that there's no gunk that's obviously going to be a bad thing. I'm not gonna make you watch any more of this. I'm gonna go through here. I'm not gonna use the brushes anymore. I think I've loosened up anything that could be loosened. Now it's just a matter of sort of getting it clean. So I will follow this through with some pipe cleaners. I'm gonna work to get the pipe cleaners as far into the, through the shank and into this gourd chamber as I can. And I'll bring you back when that's all done and when I'm gonna start to work on the externals. Okay, so we continued to do that sort of scrubbing procedure and filling it with the Everclear water mixture, tipping it out through the shank here, and I did that 3 times, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's clean. I mean, there's again, it's a natural gourd in there, so I'm not going to get it shiny and looking like new. It's as clean as it needs to be. I was able to get pipe cleaners through from this end. I will say that that's probably not the best idea with these. Don't know if I will be able to catch this, but if you look right down at the bottom there, there's a bit of orange color. That's where the pipe cleaner was actually coming around the bend and exiting, and it was actually digging into the very bottom of the gourd. It's not a lot of damage or anything. It just kind of chipped away that surface blackness that was there. And from what I understand, that if one of these pipes is destined for the trash heap, the reason it is that this gourd has either become molded or it has cracked or in some way broken. So I want to be really careful not to in any way weaken the walls of this. So that's scraping down at the bottom. I'm unhappy that happened, but the good thing is that I have been able to get the pipe cleaner all the way through here, and the airway is now quite open. I can, well, I don't know if you could hear that, but I can blow through it with no problem. So I will let that dry for quite a while now because it has been, thoroughly soaked with alcohol on the inside. But while it's drying, I can work on the exterior. And my plan with this is kind of simple. I'm going to clean the outside. Like this part doesn't even really need any work done to it. You can see it's in really nice condition. I want to clean this. I want to try to, I don't know if that's dust in those grooves or if it's actually intended to look like that, but I don't like it. It looks dirty to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scrub this whole thing the same way that I would scrub a dirty rusticated pipe. And that's a really simple trick that, excuse me while I readjust my chair here. It's a really simple trick that you probably should know anyway. And that is just to use, again, one of these dollar store toothbrushes. I really like these. They're useful for a lot of things in pipe cleaning, and it's a bargain. They're probably completely useless to use in terms of tooth care, so don't buy them for that, but buy them for pipe cleaning. So we're going to use a toothbrush, which will just allow us to get into those I guess you'd call it rustications. I don't really know what you call this on a gourd. And it'll allow us to do that without being highly abrasive, without obviously without damaging any of the high points on this, which something like a wire brush or sandpaper would. And to aid in that, in cleaning and also in hopefully sort of rehydrating these cracks, or not rehydrating but protecting them and filling them in a bit, I'm going to just use simple old mineral oil. And that's exactly what I do on rusticated pipes as well. So the mineral oil just acts as a lubricant. It lets, gets some of the dirt loosened up. After you're done, you take a paper towel and just kind of dry it off, and well, not dry it off, but get the excess oil off. It works quite well. So I will start that process, and then I'll cut away, and so as to not bore you with endless scrubbing. But we'll just put some oil on. Ooh, a little bit too much there. You can see it is soaking in. And once again, you're learning with me, so if this is a huge mistake, we'll make it together. Alright, I'm going to cut away and continue with this, and I'll bring you back after I've completed the exterior of the pipe. I'm also going to buff this up with some micro mesh, so when I come back, the entire exterior will be done. And there we have the the finished product. So this has been thoroughly scrubbed down with the toothbrush and the mineral oil. The mineral oil has permeated into these crevices, and it's created a nice contrast effect that, I don't know, you may or may not like the contrast. I like it. I think it's really brought this back to life, and just in my opinion, it looks much better than it did before. They looked dusty to me, and I just didn't like that. Everything is still drying here, so we're not going to be putting this back together anytime soon. Probably give it at least a day or two just to sort of dry and equilibrate. This I don't actually know what to call this, the bit or the ferrule, or the insert that the stem goes into. I have micromeshed this. It wasn't in bad shape. I just wanted to polish it up a bit, so I started with 4,000 and went up to 12,000 grit, and then I've saturated this with mineral oil. It's wet with mineral oil right now. I'm just going to leave it like that overnight, and that will be it for the gourd. So we've got the stem completed, we've got the gourd completed. Now we will work on the cap, and that will be the next video, and we should then be able to put it all back together again and have a finished calabash pipe to try out. So thank you for watching, and I will look forward to seeing you again soon. If you would like to like or comment on this video, I'd appreciate it. Love to hear your thoughts on this. If you're a calabash smoker in particular, let me know what you think. And if you're a subscriber, thank you. If you'd like to subscribe to keep up with this and other projects, please go ahead and do so. I'd love to have you on board. Thank you all, and take care.